Alright, this will be the People News. Alright, this video is without prejudice and or without recourse. Okay, I'm going to stand on the UCC 1-308. Okay, all rights reserved, people. I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to give legal advice. I'm going to give my opinion only. Do not misconstrue it as this legal advice. Okay, because I'm not an attorney. That's why. Alright, if you take my advice or my opinion, you do it at your own risk. Okay, it's hard to stand as a man or a woman and not a person, because there is, well, the Constitution applies to the people, we men and women, state and federal. Okay, legalese only operate in persons. Okay, it's all contract. Alright, whether you believe it or not doesn't change the fact that it's still true and correct, my opinion wise. Okay, this is a learning video also, so there we go. Alright, now past couple of videos was hearing this officer actually telling like it is. Now the funny thing is about all this, was any of this lawful? Right? Because that officer can always claim lawful. It doesn't mean it's lawful. So how was this lawful? Because I'm under the impression, okay, that the driver had a driver's license. He entered the contract with the state of Texas. So he is in fact a person. Okay? You can fight it and say you're not operating in commercial, which a person could do that, right? But you still signed a contract that you're going to obey all traffic laws. But even though it's commercial, you can still fight it as such, that you're not operating in your vehicle commercially. But it's really harder to do because you did sign that contract. Okay, let's go ahead and see what else he has to say about this, y'all. Because to be perfectly honest, it's hard to find an officer like him speaking truth. Okay?
Yeah, go to the driver. I'm talking to him. Alright? While in course of my duties, call the passenger. She had open containers, correct? Alright? Now she's in violation of the law. Now she's arrested. Okay? She's detained, arrest, whatever you want. Once I say,
okay, we're going to go back into this detain, arrest, whatever, in official duties. Well, number one, the reason why that law applies to that woman in that vehicle, right, is because she did not give notice to that officer that she's not a person. Okay, she had tacitly agreed that she's a person and not a woman. Okay, a person is bisexual. Okay, it can be man or woman. All right, don't discriminate by sex genders. Okay, child. All right, child is a person 18 and under. All right, Texas could get by with 17 and under. Or used to be under the common law, but that's what a child is a person under the age. Okay, my kids are offsprings, so they do not go into this class of minor child. Now they may be minor offsprings or sons and daughters, but they're not child, because I don't want them operating in that person, because, well, I never gave my offsprings permission to sign a contract and be underneath this contract agreement, right? Now, y'all, person is very important, and look it up. Please, 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 please. Look up person. Really understand what person is. This is what screws us, as person. All right? Under the legal legal definition as a man or woman, human being, okay? It's in contract. So every law out there we have, well, I would say 98% laws out there that we have is putting you in a contract just by the word person, okay?
Hey, get out your car, put your hands behind your back. You're going with me. That's a custodial arrest. So now they get in my front seat. I do the deal. I take them to jail. So that's your custodial arrest. So you always have two types of arrest.
Okay.
You have your arrest where you detain the individual, where they're not free to go.
Right. Yeah.
Which they weren't free to go.
Yeah, they're detained.
So they detain, they're arrested. Once I do my investigation where I can see that I can bring a criminal charge to those folks or whoever, now the custodial arrest, meaning, hey, the handcuffs on them, you guys go down to the county and you.
All right, y'all. So read your state constitution and read your federal constitution. How many different types of arrest does it say? All right. Does it say arrest, or does it say custodial arrest? Does it just say detained? In the Constitution of federal or state, how many types of arrest is there? There's only one. Any type of seizure, we call it nowadays a custodial arrest. Back in the old days, it was just arrest. Y'all, anytime it was a movement restricted from you, you are in their custody. Okay? Nowadays, it's called a custodial arrest. Back in the old days, it was just an arrest because there was only one arrest.
Get processed. That's where you're confusing the arrest. Arrest is when you've been detained. Make it easy. I say detained to make it easy for you guys. Detained. That's arrest. You're not free to go. So under what you were saying, under 38.02, they are lawfully arrested, meaning they can't go anywhere until I say, okay, you know what? Sign your ticket. You are free to go. Once they sign their ticket, they're free to go.
Okay.
See how tricky this really gets? Because we've been, most cops, there's not very many of him sitting and explaining everything. He actually really does know what he's talking about. Okay? I talked to other officers that didn't believe it's one and the same. Okay? So they don't study this either. Okay? But he's done his research. As a matter of fact, instead of Texas, and I believe it's been a long time since I looked it up, 543 to 549 goes into great details through there what an arrest is. Okay? And specifically, even in them codes right there, detained is an arrest. Okay? Now, this right here is Texas. So you guys got to do your own research in your own states, okay? I live in Texas. So this benefits me to know what the mindsets of these cops are.
Question for the passenger. Speedos and ID.
Then she gets go to jail. If she have a beer can, she's going to jail for not the beer can, open container. She's going to jail, refuse to identify because she's lawfully arrested. She's not free to go.
Okay.
See, that girl or that woman or the passenger, okay, would have a hard time fighting this with this officer in court because he's up on his game, okay? Most of the time you could probably fight this in court because most officers don't really know this, okay? But this officer would be a little bit more of a contest, okay? And this is the reason why I had to be specific over and over and over again, right? Never claim your passenger as a passenger, okay? They're family or a guest. Let's get out of that contract thing, okay? Commercial terms, okay? And let's go out of the person. I'm a woman. I'm not a person. I'm not a passenger. I'm a guest in this whatever you guys use the term on, okay? I just call it grocery, okay? But there's not much more I can say about it. I mean, this guy has actually been really truthful and honest. And if we don't learn from him what is going on, then we're going to be stuck. Oh, by the way, before we go, okay? If that open container, she's in trouble because she's a passenger. But she can actually lawfully fight it if she goes in there and stands as a woman. Okay, and when I say woman, I'm talking about W-O-M-B, womb, womb, womb man. Okay, because when religiously speaking, God created a womb from Adam and gave to her, and now she uses that womb to bear children. She is a womb man. Okay, y'all? Grammar that we don't never learn in school anymore. And this is the reason why we don't learn grammar in school anymore. It's because we don't know how to speak correct English of this day and time, right? We speak Babel. The courts speak Babel. I showed you a couple of videos back about a man who says, I don't speak your language. I don't understand your language. Okay? Because he's standing as a man. And it's hard. You got to know what you're doing. Okay? But what you got to do is federal constitution and the state constitution, you've got to put in on your notices to the courts. Okay? Where does it say a man? Right?
All attorney, I'll tell you the same thing.
So,
okay, before we go to this, all right, another thing, y'all. That passenger, the officer says she's arrested, right? Or he believes she's arrested, right? Right then and there, as a man or woman, you to demand 3 times to that officer, since you are arrested, to automatically see a magistrate right then and there, all right? For you guys to believe that the courts are open to 8 to 5 and that's it? No. They're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay? This is the reason why judges can issue warrants at 3 o'clock in the morning, midnight, because they're open 24 hours a day. Now, these cops won't call them at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you're going to have to remember, you're going to have to put on there that you've been falsely arrested. And you cannot claim person. You're going to have to claim man or woman.
the police frequently like to come up and ask people to provide their name, their address, and their date of birth. Now, whatever the context, it's only under certain contexts that you're actually required to provide this information. But here's where people get in trouble. In an effort to not know what to do, then some people give false information to the police. That's where things go way wrong. Okay, so when people give false information to the police, that's when you can pretty much guarantee almost every time you're going to be charged with a failure to identify under Texas law. So what's the first question? When am I required to identify myself to a Texas police officer? So anytime you're speaking to law enforcement, it's important to be aware of the information you are legally required to provide. So legally, you are only required to give your name, your address, and your date of birth to the police if you are placed under lawful arrest. If you are placed under lawful arrest. Under other situations, for example, let's say if you're being detained but not under arrest, the officer just walks up and starts talking to you. You are not required to disclose all that information to the police officer. You're not required to do that.
Okay.
Call attorney. I'll tell you the same thing.
Again, I have to say, I'm not an attorney, but this is just my opinion. That attorney is wrong. Detained is an arrest. Now, is it lawful? It's the issue we have. Well, then we still got to go back all the way back to the Texas Supreme Court for me and the federal Supreme Courts to find out if that was lawful detainment, which is an arrest, y'all. All right, and Terry versus Ohio again used a trickery of words. They lied to the people. Remember, even the Supreme Court's illegal to lie. So they lied to the people calling detained when they absolutely knew. They knew that it was an arrest. But they decided to help the officers out to get a little leeway to get more information that relax the people saying, well, I'm not arrested, so blah, 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 blah. All right? So whether you're detained or not, always keep in mind you are, in fact, arrested. Okay? Now, if you call the officers out, then they may say something else. Well, since you're saying that you are lawfully arrested, you must identify yourself. All right, well, tell me where that's at in the Texas Constitution. Tell me where that's at in the federal Constitution. I must provide you anything to incriminate myself. Period. And I do have a video of one guy, I guess about a year ago or so, that did not give his license or anything to an officer because he says that was an incrimination violation of the Fifth Amendment. And the officer got his name, fine and dandy, got a ticket and all that, off the tags itself. But the officer never got his ID, his address, or anything off the man. He got it off the tags on the car. Okay? Which goes back into, we need to start doing a little bit more of getting away from these tags and all that. Their little computer is ridiculous. They're getting out of control on this, where they can run in your parking lot and start running tag off you. We need to start actually going back into the Constitution and the Fifth Amendment and the Fourth Amendment. There's no knock warrant crap. You are to see and verify there is a warrant, because cops are liars. They can lie. All right? Judges can lie. So you want to verify. Well, we don't have to show you. You're probably going to have to fight this in the courts, and you're probably going to have to go all the way to the Supreme Courts. And then you have to call them all out. Every one of you guys are legally lying. How can I know that it's true and correct, that there is actually a warrant, if I have no factual evidence of such thing? And how do I know that it's okay for him to look in my brown dresser drawers and not my blue dresser drawers? All right? Sit and think about that. How do I know which bedroom he is allowed to look into, or any officer is allowed to look into? There is restrictions. And this thing that they get to just look at the whole house, no, they don't. They don't get to do that. We are being suckered over and over and over again, and under the illusion from liars, lying attorneys and lying judges. I'm just saying.
Okay. She doesn't show ID. She's gonna arrest her for
No to ID.
failure to ID.
Yes, because she broke the law by having an open container inside the vehicle.
Okay. That's how you understand it.
No, that's the law. Get an attorney. Call an attorney.
Are you an attorney?
I think I've been doing this for 20
No,
years.
no.
I have a degree.
Are you an attorney?
I have a degree. I have a degree in criminal justice science, so I think I'm pretty knowledgeable.
Not the same thing.
Yes, it is. I think I'm pretty knowledgeable.
So you're an attorney?
No, I'm not an attorney. I'm the best thing. I'm a police officer.
Can you give
I'm a police officer.
Oh man, trust me, police officers are the worst, man.
Okay, well,
as far as knowing the law.
Okay, well,
And
I love looking at case law.
I proved every single one of them.
Okay,
wrong.
I love looking at case law. I love it.
Yeah.
No problem with it. But this time, brother, you're wrong about your interpretation. And that's laws. Laws are written to be interpreted away.
Now, in fact, if he actually loves listening to case laws or watching case laws and reading case laws, then he may actually have come across the Supreme Court saying detained is actually an arrest. And this may be where he's getting it also. So, you know, most cops don't look up these things. But, in fact, him knowing what it is, it may be highly possible that he has looked up case law on this. Okay? Because, again, I'm telling you guys, there is Supreme Courts out there saying that detained is an arrest. Okay? Then specifically say if it's a lawful arrest, you're going to have to decide that out when it happens. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, if that passenger in there was not a passenger, she was a guest in that vehicle, and she's a woman, right? Woman, okay? And make sure this officer is on notice that she is not a person, that she's not in contract, okay? That weakens that officer's abilities to actually lawfully arrest her. Now she can have an open container because she's not in the guidelines of that codes and statutes. She's more of the guidelines under the standing on the Constitution, federal and state, and above the codes and statutes, which is legalese. Okay, it's color of law. All right.
Different things. That's why we have courts.
And
one person might say tomatoes, the other person might say tomatoes. The courts look at it and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and then they set some type of precedent.
and I think you're
Okay, tomato, all right? Remember, y'all, these laws are designed to be broad and open to give leeway for cops, attorneys, and judges, okay? It gives a variety of opening. However, the number one problem we have is if there's an opening, it's supposed to benefit the people, or in this case, a person, not the government. All right, this is Diesel We the People News. Bye, y'all.